Gracie Jiu-Jitsu rocks. Welcome to the Gracie Jiu-Jitsu Rocks podcast, a podcast dedicated to Gracie Jiu-Jitsu and all things Gracie, including self-defense, competition, anti-bullying, women's self-defense and empowerment, nutrition, and most especially, the people involved in Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. This podcast is for the average Joe. It's for anyone who practices, trains, teaches, or just loves to talk about or hear about Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. We'll explore the lives of Gracie Jiu-Jitsu practitioners, how they got involved in the art, and what effect it's had on their lives. So buckle up and enjoy the ride. Welcome to episode 3 of the Gracie Jiu-Jitsu Rocks podcast. I'm your host, Marty Josie, and today we'll be speaking with Mazi Haydary of CHapel Hill Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. But before we get to that, I know for many of us our first exposure to Gracie Jiu-Jitsu was in the early UFCs. When we saw what Royce Gracie and what Gracie Jiu-Jitsu could do, it inspired and motivated many of us to learn more about the art, and for a lot of us to study it as well. So I'd like to start with part of an interview that Royce did back in 2008.
In your own words, how would you explain your style of jiu-jitsu?
Well, you don't have to be strong. You don't have to be big. All you have to do is know the right technique. It's based, jiu-jitsu, Gracie jiu-jitsu is based on leverage, technique, not on strength.
Now, what changes did your father, Grandmaster Helio Gracie, make to the Japanese jiu-jitsu that was taught to his family?
Well, he learned the basic jiu-jitsu that, let's say, you need strength. My father, being very small and 140 pounds, didn't have the strength. So he pretty much learned by watching my uncle teach, what he learned from the Japanese, and on his mind he just developed, he added leverage into the techniques. So he didn't invent a whole new style, he just made it easier. And like he always says, give me the right leverage and I'll lift the world.
Do you think your father envisioned the popularity of Brazilian jiu-jitsu throughout the world today?
That's a good question for me to ask him. But when I came to America, my brother was already here teaching, and I started to teach, and once we create the first UFC, it was just question time. In America, in Brazil, people don't know what's going on. The rest of the world don't know what's going on in Brazil. But in America, anything you bring it to America, the rest of the world wants to copy, wants to pick from here. So once we brought the Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, the style, in the first UFC, because my brother's the one who created the UFC into America, a lot of people first like, oh man, this is gonna be impossible. How can you put two men fighting on TV, live TV? You cannot even fight on the street. You get arrested. How are you gonna put that on live TV? Today's the fastest growing sport in the world, not just in America. Once we did the first show in America, Japan, South Africa have shows, all over Europe, China, so it's growing like crazy.
Now, how is the Gracie Jiu-Jitsu that your father, Grandmaster Helio Gracie, you and Sam Marcellini teach different from the styles taught at Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu schools that mainly focus on tournaments?
Well, the Gracie Jiu-Jitsu that my father learned, and like most martial arts, Taekwondo, Judo, on the beginning, if you look at the history, they were made for the street, for fighting, for self-defense. But people turn, let's say Judo for instance, into a style for competition, not for the streets anymore. Gracie Jiu-Jitsu is happening the same way. Gracie Jiu-Jitsu was built for self-defense. It's a self-defense art. It's for so you can get, so if you get in a fight on the street, for you to know how to defend yourself. It's not for you to beat up or pick up a fight, but with the tournament rules and people wants to compete in tournament, they start to change so much, and that's become unrealistic. But Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, the one that my father, my brothers, my family teach, that's what we call Gracie Jiu-Jitsu instead of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. The Gracie Jiu-Jitsu is a self-defense style. It's geared towards the street fighting. So I can defend myself on the streets, not in a tournament and trying to score a point. Who cares about a point in the street?
Now, your father, Grandmaster Helio Gracie, still grapples and trains at the age of 94. Now, do you still grapple with him?
I just got back. I was in Brazil about 2 months ago, and I was asking him questions about fighting. What if this, what if that? Just picking his brains. And the old man always gave me good advices, new stuff that he's still studying the style, the art. So it's always good talking to him. He cannot train, roll, and spar freely, but he'll get on the mat and teach you a class and show you the moves, and that's what he did, still teaching me new stuff.
Wow. Now, how do you think he's able to still do that at his age?
Never drink, never smoke. Pretty much we live a good, healthy life. So it's still all up there. So it's in touch with the nature. If you see the place he lives in the farm, in the country. So goes to the city once in a while, but pretty much I ask him that all the time. And it's living a healthy life.
Now, you fought Akibono, who is 480 pounds, 6'8", and beat him with ease. Now, how does Jiu-Jitsu enable a 175-pound man to defeat a much larger opponent?
Leverage. It's based on leverage. I'm not there to try to punch him out. If I punch him, he will smile, punch me back, knock me out. So I can't exchange firepower with a guy that big. So I have to be able to maneuver him. It's like jump in the pool. He doesn't know how to swim. I know how to swim. So we just hang on to each other and I jump in the pool with him. If I know how to swim, I'll survive. I'll get out of there. So I know what I'm doing. I got enough technique and leverage. And he was pretty much lost.
Now, what do you feel are the highlights of your career as a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu martial artist?
Winning, as a martial artist, winning the UFC tournaments back on the old days when there was no gloves, no rules, no time limit, no weight division. And it's not like today you fight one-on-one. You have to fight 3 fights. Actually, on the second UFC, I fought 4 fights in one night. So that it cannot be done again. It's that page on the book, of the history book, it's done. That's closed. The other one was fighting Akibono. It's almost haven't been done yet, and nobody's gonna do it again. So now my name is on the history book with gold letters, man.
Okay, great interview with Royce. I really liked hearing him talk about Gracie Jiu-Jitsu as first and foremost as a martial art, a self-defense martial art. I also enjoyed hearing him talk about his father, Grandmaster Helio, and what he felt kept him vibrant and active for so long. Later in the interview, the interviewer asked Royce to name some of his top students, some of the students that have been with him the longest. And he mentions Greg Thompson, Spencer Knupp, and Jason Colbreth. And these guys have all been part of the Royce Gracie network here in North Carolina for many, many years. So shout out to them. They're also all black belts under Royce. My guest today has also been part of the Royce Gracie network in North Carolina for many years. So let's meet him now. Okay, I'm here with Mazi Haydary, owner and head instructor of Chapel Hill Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, located in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. Mazi, thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for inviting me.
And he's also a Royce Gracie black belt, so we're excited to talk to him today. I actually met you once before, Mazi, many years ago. I visited the school, and you were a purple belt then. And what stands out in my mind is we got paired up to work on a standing self-defense technique where you have someone pinned against the wall and someone's choking you, using both hands to choke you. And what stands out in my mind is you brought just the right amount of intensity as well as just great control to the technique. There are some schools you go to that just go way overboard with intensity. And then there are other schools that are kind of too far the other way to where maybe they get a little lazy when they're repping it out. For example, what I mean by that is if you're standing in front of someone working on a two-handed choke and you're repping it out, some people, in order to be nice to their partner, instead of actually gripping the neck, they'll just lay their hands on the collarbone. And so we tend to get lazy a lot of times like that. But it stands out in my mind that you actually gripped the neck, and which made it register in my mind that, okay, wow, this is a threat I would need to deal with. So it was a perfect amount of intensity, but also great control. So that stood out in my mind. So you made a great impression on me.
Oh, thank you.
Sure. So Mazi, if you would just start by giving us some of your history, your background, how you got involved in martial arts, how that led you to Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, and where you are today.
Oh, I started martial art when I was the age of 16 back home. I'm originally from Iran, and I came to this country at 1978. And I started the Shotokan. Actually, there was a branch of the Shotokan, and it was needed at that time because of the circumstances in my country at that time. And when I came here, I continued with the Taekwondo, and I got my second degree black belt in Taekwondo, and eventually moved on to Okinawa Kempo, and I got my 7th degree black belts in Okinawa Kempo. And at 1996, actually 93, I saw Royce during the UFC 1, 2, and 3. The reason I noticed it very fast, that's what I want, it was because during my growth in the martial arts, there was a time when I was in Taekwondo, one of the parents, mother and daughter, was in his class and asked, what if somebody is sitting on my chest, what should I do? I did not have any answer for him. I asked one of the higher belts. They said, just kick him off. It did not satisfy me, but it was in the background, but I knew that's not there is something missing. So after that, I went to Okinawa Kempo, and my instructor was invited to teach in the UNC in Greensboro as a self-defense for the women's in the UNCG, that's the name of the college. And one of the girls says, what if somebody's between my leg and wants to rape me, what should I do? And his answer reply, you better report it and have a good lawyer. So I noticed none of this give me what I wanted in the background. Something is missing, I did not know. What is it I'm missing? It does not fulfill my desire for the self-defense.
You weren't sure what it was, but you knew something was missing.
That's correct. And when in 93 I saw Royce fighting, I knew that's it. I just knew it. So I could not, of course, did not find anybody to teach him until 96 in Hillsboro. The guy named Greg Thompson, He was at that time blue belts under the host Gracie. So I was driving hour and a half to go there from Greensboro, where I was locating. Actually, was is hour and 15 minutes from my house to his place. That's how everything started for me.
Wow, that sounds like a lot of dedication. So you knew instantly you found that missing link, so to speak, what you had been looking for.
That's
and you were
correct.
willing to go to any lengths to.
Now, the funny point was that the way I found him was the Saturday before there was the karate tournament in Hillsboro, and I wiped everything. I got the grand championship.
Oh, nice.
And I found out about them on a Monday. I took my 7-degree black belt. I put a white belt. Since then, I never used that belt again.
Wow. Traded it in instantly.
Exactly.
Wow, that's great. What an exciting story. Thank you very much. Tell us about your family, Mazi, and if they practice Gracie Jiu-Jitsu.
Oh, I wish my family, especially my son, was working. He did practice for a year with me, and but he due to a school and college he stopped. And but I do not force him. Just let them find their love for it.
That's great. That's great.
So
Too many people try to, if they have a passion, they try to force their family into it. Never works out very well.
Never works that way.
All right. What would you say has been the most interesting or exciting thing for you about practicing and teaching Gracie Jiu-Jitsu?
Oh, the exciting, it seems like it's never ending. Always you are in a learning process. And amazingly, by teaching, you learn from the people you don't think they have anything to offer you. That is shocking. Oh, I learned from the white belts, from somebody say something which you don't expect.
Right.
Then the light bulb clicks.
Oh, that's great.
So that's very exciting. That means everybody has something to offer.
Oh, absolutely. And it says something about you for being open to recognizing and seeing that you can learn something from everybody.
Exactly.
So that's great.
Thank you.
All right, so how do you manage your time to do jiu-jitsu? And what, if anything, do you or have you had to give up to do jiu-jitsu?
Oh, I sacrificed my weekend. I got the job. I work on it to change my shift to Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Work 40 hours. And 4 days straight jiu-jitsu. It works perfect.
Okay.
I sacrifice my weekend, but it's all worth it.
But it's all worth it.
All
right.
worth it.
It sounds like you've got a full schedule.
Oh, definitely.
All weekends and then all through the week as well. Well, that brings me to what do you do when you're off the mat? And do you have another job you do besides teaching jiu-jitsu?
Yeah. Actually, we have to remember what we practice jiu-jitsu teach us off the mat and all on the mat are the same. It's a mentality, that's a lifestyle we have to pursue.
Absolutely.
But yes, off the mat usually I work during the weekends, of course, and I try to practice those philosophy of it, how to be, if I something I'm lack of, that lack of the sleep and the rest, which is Gracie Jiu-Jitsu promotes. Absolutely. That part I'm lacking later.
Now, you're a professor or instructor at University of North Carolina, is that correct?
Oh, no, I teach Jiu-Jitsu club over there.
Okay, I got
I
you.
work for AT&T.
Okay.
During the weekends, yes.
Gotcha. All right, wonderful. And as well as being off, talking about off the mat time, do you have a favorite activity, or do you even have time to do a hobby or activity besides jiu-jitsu?
Oh, when I was younger, I did. I used to do triathlons, biathlons, and run and just enjoy. But as got older, I just stick with jiu-jitsu.
Sure.
And jiu-jitsu is basically, that's the only activity I do.
Okay. I can relate to that. Even though I've never been a big runner, I've done a couple half marathons, and I did one several years ago, and then I did one a few months ago in the Outer Banks, and I trained for about 5 months for it, and what I realized is it's going to suffer somewhere. If I'm training a lot for the triathlon, I can only do so much jiu-jitsu, and vice versa, because the recuperation, especially as I'm getting older, you can only do so much and still have time and also ability to recuperate. So one of those suffers a little. So I'm with you. I'm sticking to
and
jiu-jitsu.
I'm amazed you did it in other bank. Swimming in the ocean, I did it once. The wave, I could not pass those waves. I made it, but I suffered.
You suffered through it and made it.
Through it,
right.
yes.
Nicely done. All right, so if you could train with someone or anyone, living or deceased, who would that be?
Besides Royce, which he's my main instructor, and I say Hickson. I like to especially hear his philosophy more toward the way he look at it, that art. So that would enhance what I do. So I love to meet him and work out with him and do one of his seminars, hopefully soon.
I actually had a chance. My first exposure, well, like you and like many others, my first exposure was UFC and seeing Royce in action, and that kind of lit the fire. And there was nowhere to train, so I got the old VHS tapes, the Gracie Basics and everything. But my first kind of live exposure, I drove down from Northwest Florida down to Tampa and did a week-long seminar with Hickson. And it was like amazing. And I joined his organization for about a year, and it was truly amazing experience. I would love to definitely cross paths again with him and do some more training with him. But
of course, I should have mentioned the Helio, but I did practice with him for one whole week in a training camp. That's why I did not mention him, but he was my favorite one, And pictures now becomes good memory.
And that's one of my only regrets, is that I didn't get involved in this, because when I did the training with Hickson, it was way back in like '96, and then I kind of got sidetracked and various things over the years and practiced other arts. But when I really kind of came back and really started devoting myself and my training to jiu-jitsu, before I made it out to the academy, he passed away maybe a couple of years before that. So that was one regret, that I never got to meet him in person and train with him. So glad that you did. That's got to be some great memories for sure.
I had a good memory with Helio, is that he thought I'm Brazilian. So he was teaching, he was just speaking Brazilian. I mean Portuguese, I'm sorry. When I say Brazilian, I mean Portuguese. And he keep on looking at me and just keep on saying them. I could not understand. I was just shaking my head, yes, And the host thought I'm making fun or something. He came behind and whispered to my ear, "Are you messing up with my dad?" And I said, no, I was fear went to me. I said, oh no.
I guess.
I just wanted to be polite, just shaking my head. He's speaking Portuguese and I do not know. I do not want to. And he was using me a couple of times as a uki to show. He thought, I'm a good student.
Right. You were kind of, when in doubt, smile and nod and go with it, right?
And amazingly, this family has a very small and good memory. And that was 4 months later, Royce came to Hillsborough, and everybody started rolling, and I started rolling with Royce. He tapped me in very fast, and he said, "Oh, you're messing up with my dad then, huh?"
So he made an impression. He remembered you, huh?
He remembered.
That's funny. That's great. Wow. This brings us to, do you follow the Gracie diet, Mazi, or any other specific nutritional program?
Follow Gracie diet. Wish I could say 100%, but it is not 100%. I do the best I can, especially when the house, if everybody follow it, makes it easier.
Yeah.
And all this fast food, none of them has the very good nutrition values.
Sure.
So it makes it a little bit hard, but I do my best to follow up. And basically, it's not, we call it diet, as you know, is how we combine how efficiently the body process the food in our body.
Absolutely.
So to your question, I do follow it the best I can.
Okay, very good. I follow a lot of the principles, but haven't adopted it 100% either. But definitely try to eat as clean as I can.
That's
and
correct.
as natural as I can, that kind of thing. So, good. And you have a very interesting logo for your school. What does that mean, and how did you come up with it?
Oh, it is over 1,000 years old, so it is nothing I came up with it. I was looking at the logo, which everybody try to choose the logo represent of something, not just come up with off the wall. So, for example, Gracie's has a triangle, try to indicate the triangle, the base is very strong base, and all three sides, mind, body, and spirit. So, mine is one was looking for something to represent all the goods, and this creature is the name of it is Simorg, and she is the benevolent, mythical flying creature.
Okay.
And it represents the courage, longevity, wisdom, and all the good things, and righteousness.
Okay.
So I choose that for my logo.
Great. Well, it's visually very cool, very interesting logo, and now even more interesting now that I know what it represents. That's awesome.
Thank you.
All right, so you kind of touched on this before, but what's the most aspect of Gracie Jiu-Jitsu to you, and can you elaborate a little bit on how it's affected your life?
Well, if any art, in this case, our Jiu-Jitsu, we take him as a lifestyle. It changes your life. If you look at it as any martial arts to try to beat someone, it never becomes any positive. It just becomes we are another bully, just trying to beat the next person.
Right.
But Jiu-Jitsu, the key to it is that philosophy gives you. Because of that philosophy makes it lifestyle.
Yeah.
So we try to become good on the mat and off the mat, the way we represent ourselves. If we all making mistakes, it's not Jiu-Jitsu making mistake, is our lack of understanding or because of our weaknesses or not on purpose we do it.
Right.
But especially when you reach the black belt level, it is you have to represent the Jiu-Jitsu comes from the Gracie family. So we have to be example to the others as well.
Very nice, very nice. And much respect for achieving that black belt status. There's not that many that have done that, so much respect to you, Mazi.
Thank you.
All right. Do you have a favorite quote or motto that inspires you or that you live by, Mazi?
To be honest, as my age goes up, those changes. There is lots of good mottos, lots of good things in it. But what makes you motivated? You're gonna find that you are young. Something radical makes you motivated.
Right.
As you get older and you become wiser, different things, but still is gonna keep on changing. Who knows? But one of things at this time, which I tell myself, not to the others when I am look at myself. Always one of them is the hard work always overcome talent, and the second one from Helio that the quickest way to lose is trying to win.
Yes.
And so basically these are the one, and also one I tell myself this is my day. There is no tomorrow.
Oh, that's great.
So these are for time. This is the one when I'm get tired, nothing left in the tank. I'm just pushing, just telling myself to go on. So this is to myself, to me.
Yes. So that's what motivates you and helps you persevere.
That's correct.
Make the most out of life.
That's right.
Excellent. All right, Mazi, if you had one thing to tell someone who is considering starting Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, what would that be?
If you wanted anything you wanted to learn the philosophy of it. When you understand the philosophy, then your body language changes because your understanding of the philosophy. If you go to any gym, even the jiu-jitsu, you go and they try to beat everyone, then when you walk down the street, your body language is like somebody's looking for something.
Great point.
So if that philosophy is a way of the life, so when you learn as a humbleness, as a good, as everything else, you always, your body language, the way you walk, you present yourself, is changes according to that philosophy.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Very interesting. Okay. Anything else that you'd like to share with us today at all?
I just take that opportunity to thank you for opportunity to tell my point of the view, and also to thank my past and present instructors. And those instructors, not necessarily, some of them was a stranger I never talked to, but I saw him the way he behaved himself in the store or some places.
Oh, wow.
And I learned from him. And thank you all those people across my life.
Excellent. Excellent. Well, thank you so much for your time, insight, and letting us get to know more of you and your story. We appreciate it very much.
Thank you very much.
All right. You can learn more about Mazi and Chapel Hill Gracie Jiu-Jitsu at chapelhilljujitsu.com. Okay, this brings us to our Make an Impact, Make a Difference segment. This week's quote is from Tony Robbins. It's not about the goal. It's about growing to become the person that can accomplish that goal. Great quote. So let's remember this as we go through our week. Goals give us something to shoot for, to work towards. They give us direction. But becoming the person who can achieve those goals is where the growth is. It's where the growth occurs. And that's what the journey is all about. This week I invite you to continue your journey with passion and awareness. That's going to do it for this edition of the show. I hope you enjoyed it. If you are enjoying the show, please go to iTunes and subscribe. And also check out our website at www.graciejujitsurocks.com and leave a comment. Until next time, this is Marty Josie, and I'll see you on the mat.